All right, major food groups. What types of foods do I need to incorporate? What is this varied type of food that I need to consume? Well, it's called My Plate. Okay? It is called My Plate. Sorry. Something pop up on my screen. But it's had many iterations over our times here. I think it started in the 40s. I can't remember. I have it on the next slide. All right. When it started is not important. What is this kind of My Plate? What is this, as they refer to it, dietary guidance system? This My Plate is a very easy, simplistic way to translate DRIs. It's very generalized. Okay. And it looks at some of the core components that you need to have in your diet. Okay. Vegetables, fruits, protein, grain, milk. Those are the components for the most part. Okay. And if you have all of those components, then that assumes you're going to get all of your RDAs and AIs. That's ultimately what it means. You don't have to remember I need 20% carbs, or I'm sorry, 20% fat, 60% carbs, 20% protein. You don't need to worry about memorizing AMDRs. Don't need to worry about memorizing DRIs, or I'm sorry, RDAs and AIs. Okay? Because this gives it in a very easy, simplistic format. That's the need for it. Here, I just kind of put up, I just find it fascinating, our kind of concept of this My Plate. And here's what it started with. This is the first one I was able to find in 1943. It breaks it down into 7 groups. I mean, fascinating, because this breaks it up into colors, and they don't necessarily do that anymore when it comes to vegetables, but there is a whole spectrum of colors really when it comes to vegetables, and each kind of color has slightly different nutritional profile. So if you kind of play around with that, that's generally kind of what they're talking about. So when you see here green and yellow, there are greens, there's yellows, there's purples, there's reds. There's a whole kind of spectrum here when it comes to fruits and vegetables here. But you can kind of see here, this is pretty interesting. Potatoes, I mean, good God, I'm potatoes and other vegetables. Sign me up, right? Milk, meat, bread, cereals, butter. Hell, butter gets its own spot on the wheel. Fantastic, right? Who doesn't love butter? Here you can kind of see, then I couldn't really find any versions between 43 and 92. They were a lot of this iteration of it, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then kind of here's the one that they started spitting about in the 1990s, probably when none of you were alive. But here you can kind of see this little food pyramid here. It gives a vague kind of representation, lots of grains, right? Lots of pasta. What could be wrong with that? I don't need much, and then I don't know what the hell this must represent up here. Early 2000s, gives another vague kind of pyramid. Love it. It's got oils in it. Whoops, it's got oils in it. Fantastic. Oh my gosh, it's got energy. It's got activity levels up here to remind us to get off our big old butts and get outside and start moving around. Fantastic. Seems pretty good. This lasted till 2011, and this is also the current one now. And this is My Plate. And if you go to that's the website for it. I think I have a link on the next slide. Yeah, link on the next slide right there. Okay. ChooseMyPlate.gov. It gives you a fantastic breakdown, even more so that we're going to go into here. So if you're a purveyor of knowledge and you want to know more, there you go. Okay. But fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairy. You can argue dairy being on there. Dairy's on there because of calcium, because of bone health. It's the only really huge reason why it's really there, in my opinion, in most people's opinion. Okay. But you can get calcium from a number of other things. You can get some of the nutrients in it from a number of other sources. Okay. But yeah, Water's not on here. Oil's not on here. What the heck is protein? Protein's nebulous. I mean, you can get protein from a number of different sources. So there's a lot of weird kind of shortcomings with this, but it's what we have. It's what we work with. And it's halfway decent, I guess. We talked about one of the tenets for nutritional concepts of having a varied diet. Why do you want to have a varied diet? Because of this. The nutritional profiles are different from one type of food to another type of food. Okay? So if you're somebody who is relying on your apples to get you vitamin C, you can see, holy smokes, you don't get a whole hell of a lot of vitamin C in an apple compared to an orange, which is robust in it. So when we talk about having a varied diet in chapter 1, when we talk about my plate, you want to have a varied diet as well. So, we'll give some examples of grains, of proteins, fruits and vegetables, all that nonsense. Okay. And just pick one, try it. If you don't like vegetables, well, pick one and try. Okay. You're not 8-year-olds. You can go to the Hy-Vee, pick one out. Okay. Go pick out purple cauliflower. So good. A little Parmesan cheese on it. So good. Okay. But try. Play with spices. Flavor God. Fantastic spices. Okay. No sugars. No nothing really bad in it at all. So good. Play around with that. That way you can try some of these fruits and vegetables that you don't necessarily, or especially vegetables that you don't try. All right, so what are these things? I don't know if this would make a good short answer question, to be honest, because I'm still kind of making the exam, tweaking it a little bit. But I do know I asked some multiple choice questions about it, and maybe I may ask you to come up with a my plate, okay? Where you come up with a food or two with each one, and maybe it kind of explains some stuff. But what's in it? What are some examples? Those are things that I would probably ask as a multiple choice type question. These are grains. Rice, oats, wheat, duh. Pretty easy. But what are these excellent sources of? Carbs. Fantastic. Protein. Fantastic. So if you're looking for sources of grains and you're looking for protein because you don't want to consume a protein bar, incorporating some of these components here, and there's your sources. It's also a rich source for various different B vitamins, as well as a handful of minerals. And if you're going to remember a mineral, probably iron's a big one. It is a nutrient of concern here in the States. It's something that a large number of the population does not get enough of. I don't have it listed here. I think I have it listed on another slide, but these are whole grains. Whole grains are the optimal choice here. Whole grains are the optimal choice. Why are whole grains the optimal choice? Because refined grains have been manipulated. They've been manufactured. They've generally lost something during the refinement process of it. Perfectly fine. Okay. For some of these things, they have to be refined to, maybe utilize effectively, easily in the kitchen. Right. If that's the case, if it's refined, as long as it's enriched or fortified, you're fine. Okay. You just got to do a little bit more reading on the label, because if it is enriched or fortified, it will tell you on the label. Okay. It will tell you fortified with, okay, enriched with. These things, these two words here mean vastly different things. Okay. Okay. One is when it had it to begin with, lost it, and then it was added back. One means it wasn't there to begin with at all. Okay. So if it's enriched, that means it's been refined a little bit. It's been lost during the processes, during the manufacturing of it. And you see a lot of that with B vitamins. Okay. B vitamins get enriched with a lot of different things, especially grains. Okay. Iron as well. Common things that are lost, they get added back. Fortified, it wasn't there to begin with, and it was added to it. A classic example is calcium to orange juice, or vitamin A and D to milk. Okay? Vitamin D enriched milk, vitamin A enrichment. Right? A lot of ready to eat cereals are fortified. Right? Never had it to begin with, but people eat a lot of it. So we want to make sure that they get enough of those vitamins, because vitamin A and vitamin D are really important. Okay? Really important, especially for growing children. Vitamin D is important for a lot of things, but especially in the youth as well as the old. These are added to foods that are consumed a lot of, and this ensures that we get that vitamin or mineral into the population. These are just some examples. Okay. A slice of bread equals 1 cup of flakes equals a half of an English muffin. Just a half, right? Gosh, just a half. That stinks. Half a cup of rice equals, a regular piece of sliced bread. So, this kind of gives you an idea, especially if you're somebody who sits around and eats popcorn. Eating 3 cups is about equivalent to eating a slice of bread. So if you're somebody who really tracks what they eat, equivalence is a good thing. You're probably asking yourself, what the hell is a serving size of grains in? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Right there. I know I'm going to ask serving size on the exam. If that's not a hint, I don't really know what I can do for you. But I know I'm going to ask it. About 3 to 8 ounces. Okay, that is roughly a serving size. At least half of this should be from whole grains. Okay, there's example of whole grains over there. Okay, just pick a couple and remember. All right, these are generally the most common. Okay, whole wheat, oatmeal, cornmeal, brown rice. There you go. You've all heard of that one. Barley, rye, buckwheat, spelt. There's a bunch of different things out there. Okay. Intact, ground, cracked, flaked, booyah. There you go. And they'll say all that nonsense on the label. All right. But 3 to 8 ounces and at least half of your daily intake of grains should be whole. Just ensures that you have all of the complete nutritional profile. Did I say I was probably going to ask how much a serving size is? Okay, just making sure. Dairy. Dairy is here for really one thing and one thing only, and that is for really, bone health. Okay. We can argue whether or not dairy should, be included in this. And I would listen to it. Okay. We can get a lot of this sources in the previous thing that we just saw and some later things that we're going to see here. But it is there for bone health, and that is something of concern here in the United States, especially for women. But here you can kind of see some examples: yogurt, milk, and the products, yogurt, hard cheeses. Again, an excellent source of protein, which is why it gets pimped as a post-exercise supplement. Okay, even though I couldn't imagine slamming down 16 ounces or 8 ounces of milk, that would just be crazy. But see, that's my perception of food, right? Gotta get over those perceptions. All right. What are some equivalents? There you go. 2 cups of cottage cheese, a cup of plain yogurt. And I put these dietary equivalents in there because, generally, we don't consume a normal dietary allowance. You could see this is what the recommended dosage per day is, about 2 to 3 cups. That's not a whole heck of a lot. But if you drink a cup of milk in the morning with breakfast, Then let's just say, you have a few slices of cheese. How big is that? Measure it out. That could easily be a half a cup that you eat, maybe more if you're somebody who really loves cheese. Let's say you have some cottage cheese with lunch. And if you're like my oldest, good God, he takes half the damn thing and puts it in a bowl and consumes it. That's not the recommended size, recommended daily allowance. Okay. He's getting way more. Okay? It's getting way more. But he's like 13. Okay. So he's going to burn that off quite a bit. Plus, I make him go to the gym now, get up and run around, do stuff. So he gets off his butt a lot more. Proteins. Here's your serving size. 2 to 6 ounces. Generally, about 6 ounces is what's considered a serving size of a cut of lean meat. And you can kind of see an ounce. That's not a whole hell of a lot, right? Equals an egg, equals a tablespoon of peanut butter, or almond butter for that matter. A half an ounce of nuts, which is 12 almonds for those counting at home. An ounce is 24. You can see the math. 2 tablespoons of hummus. Who doesn't love it? Gosh darn it. But the serving size, right? It's all about serving size. And the vast majority of people here in the States don't consume a serving size of 6 ounces. You can see this says each day, but really each serving, because these are just based on you doing nothing. I assume you all get up and move around and do stuff, right? You get up, you walk around your house, you go to work, go to a job, that's the same thing, go to school, get up and go out and meet people again. So what I'm saying is you're getting up and you're being active. If you're active, you're going to need obviously more than 6 ounces per day. You're going to need more. The vast majority of Americans don't consume a serving of fruit. How much do you need? 1 to 2 cups. As you can kind of see, this can be even 100% fruit juice. That's pretty cool. Okay. It can be canned, frozen, dried, fresh, sauced. You don't want it in kind of, some kind of sugary sauce, I guess. That should be that should be denoted on there. But fresh fruit, fantastic. There you go. Okay, 1 to 2 cups per day. Pretty easy, especially if you have a banana after you work out. It's a quick source of carbs, has a lot of great vitamins and minerals in it that help you to recover. So there you go. And then you can have a small apple in the afternoon, fills you up. A lot of fiber as well. Fantastic. See, there it is, fiber. And no cholesterol. Very, 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 very low in fat. Very low in sodium. I don't have that up here, but really low in sodium. Sodium is a nutrient of concern. We get too much of it. Okay. Incorporating an apple, a banana, a serving of strawberries, a cup of strawberries. This helps to fill you up. And so you don't feel as hungry, especially if you eat an apple, especially a large apple. It has a ton of fiber in it. That really fills you up. Vegetables, serving 1 to 3 per day. And again, the vast majority of this book says 1 to 3. Generally, you see like 2 to 3. I think they lowered it down to 1 to 3 because like 8% of the population was getting 2 to 3 cups of vegetables per day, which is really bad when you say it out loud. But 1 to 3 cups per day is what you should look at for vegetables. Again, if you have a nice, varied, nutritious kind of meal plan, you should have a serving of vegetables with lunch, another serving of vegetables with dinner. Booyah! There's your 2 cups. Okay, see how easy that is. You can have a cup of vegetable juice. That doesn't sound fun, but you can have 2 cups of leafy greens. When you put all that spinach in that little pan to render it down, you're like, holy smokes, I am never going to consume this much. But boy, it renders down really fantastic. And then you eat it very easily. Okay. Hell, whoops, sorry. We got mashed beans, mashed potatoes up in here. How easy is this? Okay. Should be really easy. And again, the vast majority of individuals, 90% don't consume a serving. The last thing, it's not on the my plate, but it is talked about. Okay. Not a separate food group according to the USDA. They do recognize, this is what they say though, on their website. We do recognize that they contribute nutrients to the diet. They just don't have a big lobbying conglomerate that can get them on the my plate compared to dairy. Yes, I said it out loud. Good sources of vitamin E. What's vitamin E? It's a potent antioxidant. What's an antioxidant do? Helps you stop looking old. There you go, in a nutshell. We'll talk about it more later. Has a ton of essential fatty acids. Okay? Brain health, skin health, hair health, hormonal health, all sorts of fantastic things that essential fatty acids do. Generally, you want the ones that are liquid at room temperature. Okay? You can see plant-based, olive oil, and canola oil, olive oil. Solid fats, you want to, they're considered more unhealthy. Solid are considered unhealthy. Again, if you're going to use these, utilize these in moderation, small amounts. Okay. If you're using lard to cook everything, like my dad's mom did, my dad's mom cooked everything in lard. It was the most amazing thing. Her food tasted amazing, but good Lord, knowing what that is now, crazy. It's probably why she was overweight and diabetic. Lost a kidney and died. But the food tasted great. There you go. So hang your head on that. Thank you, Grandma. Okay. But solid fats are generally considered unhealthy. Okay. They have a different fat profile. We'll talk about that in the next unit. Some oil equivalents right there. You can kind of get a general idea, but you need about 5 teaspoons per day. Holy smokes. 5 teaspoons. Not a whole heck of a lot. Okay. Not a whole heck of a lot. And if you did a tablespoon of almond butter, then you've pretty much gotten your oil requirement for the day. If you've ever gotten that almond butter, that almond peanut butter, when you first open it up, you got all that fantastic oil at the top. Stir that up, get an arm workout, stir it all up and distribute that oil kind of throughout. That way you don't just consume straight oil at the top there. 5 teaspoons is generally what is recommended. I think for women, it's anywhere between 5 to 6 teaspoons of oil per day. For men, I believe it's 6 to 7. So there are some conflicting amounts depending upon your sex, but around 5 teaspoons, that's generally accepted for most individuals. So that's what I put up here. Here's the Harvard School of Public Health. This is their kind of my plate. As you can kind of see, it does not have the dairy component on there. It has water. It has healthy oils listed on there. And it just reminds you to get your butt moving and be active as well. So again, what we find in the dairy component, we also get in all of these other ones as well, which is why they've kind of taken it out and put in something that you need to make sure you get enough of: water, healthy oils.